Abandoned little alien girl ate garbage like a dog, until one human saw the princess inside her. The city was quiet, but not peaceful. Broken buildings leaned against each other like tired soldiers. Smoke curled lazily from a few chimneys, and the air smelled of burned metal and rotting food. The streets were empty, except for one tiny figure moving carefully between piles of garbage. She was small, no taller than a human child of 6 or 7, but thin as a twig. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair, tangled and dusty, fell past her shoulders. Her large eyes glimmered like dark pools, reflecting the dim sunlight that barely reached the ground through the ruins. She moved like a shadow, bending low, sniffing and pawing through trash. She ate scraps that others would throw away without a thought. A rat scuttled past, but she barely noticed. Her stomach growled louder than the sound of her tiny movements. She had eaten nothing in a day, maybe 2. She lifted a piece of moldy bread from a broken container, sniffed it, and hesitated. Then she swallowed quickly, chewing carefully as if savoring a treasure. The other aliens in the city ignored her, or worse, they laughed. Some called her names, names meant to hurt, to remind her she belonged nowhere. But she had learned to survive alone. She had no family, no friends, no one to protect her. Every day was a fight, every night a test. She crouched near a metal drum, searching for more scraps. Her small hands trembled, not just from hunger but from the cold wind that blew through the ruined streets. A faint sound caught her attention, a soft humming, almost melodic, coming from the far end of the alley. She froze. The humming grew louder. A figure appeared at the edge of the alley. It was tall, walking steadily despite the rubble. His skin was pale but clean, and he wore clothes that were strong and well kept, unlike the tattered robes of the city's usual inhabitants. He carried a small pack over his shoulder. The girl watched him from behind the drum, her breath shallow. He was different from the others, the ones who scavenged, stole, or preyed on the weak. He moved with confidence, but there was a kindness in the way he looked around, as if he noticed the damage, the broken lives, and felt sorry for it. She had never seen a human before, though stories whispered among the few children who survived spoke of them. They said humans were strange, fierce, and sometimes foolishly brave. But she had never imagined one here, in this part of the city, so far from any place humans usually came. The man stopped near a pile of garbage. He bent down, picking up a piece of metal and inspecting it carefully. He hummed again, this time softly, and then placed the metal into his pack. The girl watched, curious. He did not notice her, or perhaps he did not care about small children in the streets. Then she heard a louder noise, a crash. A metal container tipped over nearby, spilling its contents, scraps of food, old tools, broken toys. She ran quickly, hoping to grab some of the food before a bigger alien, a scavenger she had seen earlier, returned. She snatched a piece of bread, but a sharp voice stopped her. "Hey, that's mine!" A young alien shouted, jumping from behind a crate. He was bigger than her, stronger and meaner. His eyes glinted with anger. He reached for the bread. The girl froze. Her heart thumped loudly. She knew she couldn't fight him, not like this. Hunger made her desperate, but fear kept her small. Then she did something she rarely had the courage to do. She ran. She ran as fast as her thin legs could carry her, zigzagging through the alleyways, trying to stay out of sight. The human saw her. He did not shout. He did not move aggressively. He only watched, his eyes narrowing slightly. There was something in her movement that caught his attention, a strange grace despite her weakness. Something about her reminded him of a story he had heard long ago about alien royalty who had been lost during a war. He shook his head. No, can't be, too small, too dirty. But curiosity held him. He followed her at a distance, careful not to scare her. She ran into an abandoned building, the floor littered with broken glass and rubble. She paused, panting, and leaned against the wall. The scavenger was still outside, cursing and searching. She closed her eyes, hugging herself. The human stepped closer, cautiously. "Hey," he said softly, his voice calm. "It's okay, you're safe." The girl jumped, her eyes wide with fear. She had never heard such a voice, soft, steady, not cruel or demanding. Who are you?" she whispered, voice shaking. "I'm a human," he said simply. "I saw you. You were hungry, I can help." The girl's stomach twisted. She had learned never to trust anyone, never to accept help. People always took, never gave. But there was something about him, something that made her want to believe. I'm alone," she admitted, her voice barely audible. No one cares." The human knelt down, keeping his distance, hands open and empty. "I care," he said gently. "I don't know why, but I do. You don't have to be alone anymore, not today." The girl hesitated. She had heard promises before, empty ones that led to betrayal. But his eyes, they were honest. She could see it. A flicker of hope rose inside her, tiny and fragile. Suddenly, a noise startled both of them. The scavenger had broken in, looking for her. He was angry, reckless, and dangerous. The girl backed away, unsure what to do. The human stood quickly. "Stay behind me," he said, his voice firm now. "I won't let him hurt you." The scavenger lunged, but the human moved with surprising speed. He grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and blocked the attack. With one careful swing, he knocked the scavenger off balance, enough to scare him away. The girl watched in awe. Humans were strange, strong, fearless, and he had done it to protect her. When the danger passed, the human turned to her. "You're safe now," he said softly again. "Come with me, I have food. You don't have to eat garbage anymore." The girl looked down at her hands, dirty and trembling. For the first time in her life, she felt like someone truly saw her, not just the dirt, the hunger, or the weakness, but her. Something inside her stirred, something long buried. "Food?" she asked, voice hesitant, almost a whisper. "Yes," he said, smiling gently. "And a warm place to sleep, if you want." She hesitated, then slowly nodded. The trust was fragile, like a thin glass that could shatter with one wrong move. But she stepped forward. The human offered his hand, and after a long moment she placed her tiny hand in his. It was the first human contact she had ever accepted willingly. As they left the building and walked toward the outskirts of the city, she glanced back at the ruins. They had been her home for so long, a world of garbage and fear. But something told her it didn't have to be like this forever. The human carried a small pack of supplies, but he shared nothing yet. He let her walk alongside him, slowly gaining her trust. Every step was careful, every word gentle. He had seen many worlds, many species, but there was something about this little girl that felt important. By the time they reached a safer street, he had found a small container of clean water and some bread from a trader's leftover supplies. He handed it to her. She sniffed it cautiously, then took a small bite. It was warm, soft, and smelled sweet. She closed her eyes, savoring the taste, and for a moment she forgot the streets, the hunger, the fear. The human watched her eat, his heart quietly moved. He had rescued many people before, but something about her felt different. He sensed she was not just a lost child. She carried herself with a quiet dignity, even now in rags and dirt. Something told him that this girl had a story far bigger than the streets she wandered. As night began to fall, the city's shadows stretched long and dark. But for the first time in her life, the girl felt a spark of safety. Someone cared. Someone saw her. And deep inside, she began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, her life could change. The human led her to an abandoned building that was safer than the streets. He cleaned a small corner for her to sleep, giving her a warm blanket from his pack. She curled up, staring at the ceiling, feeling a strange mix of fear and hope. Before sleep took her, she whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, maybe I'm not just trash, maybe I can be someone." The human stood silently outside her corner, watching her with a gentle smile. He did not know why he had chosen to save her, but he knew this. She deserved a chance. And somehow, he had a feeling that the little girl he saved tonight would change more than just her own life. Outside, the city remained broken and quiet. But for one small alien girl, the world had grown a little brighter, a little bigger, and a little safer. And somewhere deep inside, hidden beneath dirt and fear, the princess inside her began to stir. The morning sun struggled to rise over the ruined city. Its pale light fell across broken streets and crumbling towers, casting long shadows that crept into every corner. The little alien girl stirred under the blanket the human had given her. She had slept more than she had in months, perhaps even years. Her small body stretched, stiff and sore from nights spent on hard ground, but her mind felt sharper, alive with curiosity and cautious hope. The human was already awake. He moved quietly around the small corner he had made for her, arranging supplies and checking the small pack he carried. His hands were steady, and his eyes, dark and alert, scanned the streets through the shattered windows. He had been in dangerous places before, but there was something about this city and this child that made him uneasy. The streets whispered danger, and yet he felt compelled to stay to protect her. The little girl watched him silently. She had never seen anyone like him before. He seemed strong yet gentle, stern yet kind. He did not demand anything from her, did not look at her like she was a nuisance. He simply existed in the same world, offering her something she had never known: safety. She hesitated, then sat up, wrapping the blanket around herself. Where are we going?" she asked, her voice small, unsure. He turned, giving her a warm smile. "We're not going far today. I need to make sure it's safe here before we move on. You need to eat and drink first." He reached into his pack and pulled out a small container of clean water and some bread. He handed it to her. "Try this, it's safe." The girl sniffed it, eyes wide. She had been so used to scavenging spoiled scraps that something as simple as clean bread and water felt almost magical. She took a tiny bite, then another, then slowly ate the rest, savoring every mouthful. Her small stomach rumbled in gratitude, and she felt warmth spreading through her chest, not just from the food but from the human's presence. He watched her eat quietly, his expression thoughtful. "You're very careful," he said finally. "Not many survive this long on the streets alone." I have to," she whispered. No one else will," he nodded slowly. "I see, but now there's someone who will." For a moment, silence filled the room. Outside, the city stirred with faint sounds, wind blowing through broken metal, a distant crash, the scurry of creatures hunting scraps. Inside, there was only the quiet understanding that something had shifted. The girl felt it too, a fragile thread of trust forming between them. The human stood and moved to the window, scanning the streets again. He noticed something, a shadow moving fast between the ruins. Not a child, not like her, but something bigger, more purposeful. His lips tightened. "Stay here," he said firmly. "Do not come out until I tell you." The girl's eyes widened. Is it dangerous?" "It might be," he said, his voice calm but serious. "I need to check. Stay hidden." She nodded, clutching her blanket closer. She watched him step outside into the ruins, moving quickly and quietly. Even from inside, she could see his skill. He dodged broken beams, leaped over fallen debris, and disappeared into the shadows. Her heart beat fast. She realized that humans were unlike any other creature she had ever seen. They were clever, strong, and fearless. Minutes passed. She tried to focus on something else, but her mind kept returning to him, to his presence, to the feeling of safety he had given her. She whispered to herself almost involuntarily, maybe he will stay. Maybe." Suddenly, a shout echoed from outside. Her eyes widened in fear. She ran to the window, peeking through the cracks. The human was facing a group of scavengers, larger aliens with cruel faces and sharp claws. They had spotted him and were closing in. The girl gasped. "No," she cried. The human moved with precision and speed, throwing objects, kicking debris, and using every advantage the ruins offered. His every action was calculated, but his eyes never left the child's hiding place. He knew he had to protect her, no matter the cost. One scavenger lunged at him with a metal rod. The human ducked, grabbing a broken pipe from the ground. He swung with perfect aim, knocking the scavenger off balance. The others hesitated, surprised by his skill. He seized the moment, pushing a crate to block their path. For a moment it seemed like they would retreat. The girl watched, her eyes wide with awe. She had never seen someone fight like that, not for themselves, but for her. Her chest swelled with a feeling she did not yet understand. Gratitude, admiration, something deeper. She realized that this human was not just strong. He was brave. Brave in a way that she had never seen. The scavengers regrouped and lunged again, but the human was ready. With quick thinking, he tossed a piece of scrap metal that struck one in the head, dazing him. He then grabbed the girl's blanket and tied it to a nearby post, creating a distraction that allowed him to slip past them and drag her to safety. When they were finally out of danger, he knelt beside her. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice soft but firm. "No," she whispered, trembling. I'm fine." He nodded. "Good, we need to move. They might come back." He led her through narrow alleys and hidden passages, always staying alert, always careful. The city was dangerous, but he had a way of navigating it that made it seem almost safe. After some time, they reached a small, abandoned building at the edge of the city. He pushed the door open and gestured for her to enter. Inside, it was quiet, with a few broken chairs and a collapsed wall that let in sunlight. He cleaned a small corner for her to sit and eat, offering water and more bread. The girl ate slowly, still trembling but feeling a strange sense of security. Why did you help me?" she asked finally, her voice small. The human paused, considering his words. "Because someone should, because I saw you and I knew you didn't belong out there. You're not just a street child, there's something different about you." The girl tilted her head, confused. "Different how?" He crouched to meet her eyes. "You have a presence, a dignity even when you're alone, a grace. You are not like the others who wander these streets. You are special." Her small chest rose and fell quickly. Special. She had never been called that before. She had always been useless, dirty, worthless. The words of the scavengers, the people in the streets, had followed her for so long, but this human, he said something different. He saw her for who she might be, not just who she was now. She wanted to believe him, but fear held her back. I'm not special," she whispered. "I'm just me, nothing more." The human smiled gently. "Maybe, but even if you don't see it, others will. And you have the chance to show them who you truly are." He looked around, then leaned closer, lowering his voice. "There's something else I need to tell you, something important." Her eyes widened. What is it?" He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I think you are a princess, a lost princess. You may not know it yet, but I've seen signs. The way you move, the way you think, your gestures, your eyes. They remind me of stories I've heard about alien royalty who vanished during a war." The girl's mouth fell open. A princess? Me? No, that's impossible." He shook his head gently. "I know it seems impossible, but sometimes truth hides where we least expect it, and I believe that you are that truth. You are more than you know." She sat in silence, trying to process his words. Her mind raced with images of palaces, crowns, and people bowing, but also with memories of the streets, the hunger, the fear. How could both be true? She was nothing more than a street child, but could she also be a princess? The human placed a hand over hers. "You don't have to understand it all now. You just need to trust me. I will help you. I will keep you safe. And together, we will find out who you truly are." Tears welled in the girl's eyes. She had never been comforted like this. Never been told that someone cared, that someone believed in her. Slowly she nodded. I will try," she whispered. The human smiled. "Good, that's all I ask. We start small, one step at a time." Outside, the sun rose higher, casting light into the abandoned building. For the first time, the girl felt a spark of hope. Perhaps she was not just a survivor of the streets. Perhaps she could be someone more. Perhaps with this human's help, she could be herself, truly herself. Hours passed. The human taught her simple things: how to stay safe, how to move quietly, how to hide from danger. He shared stories of the stars, of other worlds, of humans who traveled far and faced dangers similar to these. The girl listened intently, absorbing every word. She began to see that the universe was larger than her ruined city, larger than the streets, the garbage, the fear. As night fell, the sound of distant scavengers echoed through the streets. The human tightened a small lock on the door and lit a dim lamp. "They'll be back," he said softly, "but we'll be ready." The girl hugged herself, feeling a mixture of fear and courage. She had survived this long alone. She had eaten garbage and fought off threats. But now she had someone fighting with her for her. And deep inside, the princess within her stirred. She did not yet understand what it meant or what would come next. But she knew one thing: her life had changed. The human looked at her, his expression calm but determined. "Tomorrow," he said, "we begin the journey to find out who you really are." She nodded, her heart beating fast. Somewhere deep down, hope glimmered. Somewhere deep down, she felt that she was more than a street child. She was special. Outside, the city remained dark and broken. But inside, in a small corner, a lost princess and a human protector began a bond that would change both their lives forever. The first light of dawn touched the edges of the ruined city, painting broken towers with pale gold. Dust swirled in the narrow streets, and the wind carried the faint, bitter scent of metal and decay. For the little alien girl, it was another day of uncertainty. But this morning felt different. She had slept on a thin blanket given by the human, not the cold stone floor. She had eaten clean food, and for the first time in her life she had someone watching over her, not with cruelty but with care. The human was already awake, moving silently through the abandoned building. He checked the supplies he had brought the night before: water, food, a small kit of tools, and some scraps of old electronics he might use. Every object was carefully organized, every step planned. He had faced dangers before, but protecting a lost child in a city full of scavengers required more than strength. It required thought, patience, and vigilance. The girl watched him as he packed. Where are we going?" she asked, her voice still small and uncertain. He turned to her, giving a gentle smile. "We leave the city today. It's not safe here. We will travel to a place where you can be yourself, where no one will hurt you." She looked down at her small hands. I don't know if I can." "You can," he said firmly. "You survived this long on your own. You are strong. But now you don't have to be alone. We will do this together." She nodded slowly. Trust was still fragile, but she felt a tiny spark of courage. Perhaps with him she could survive this journey. They stepped into the streets carefully. The city was quiet, but the silence was deceptive. Shadows moved between the ruins: scavengers, thieves, predators. The human led her through narrow alleys, avoiding open spaces and broken structures where danger could hide. At one corner, a group of scavengers appeared, shouting and waving crude weapons. The girl froze. Fear gripped her chest, but the human did not hesitate. He grabbed a metal pipe from the ground and held it ready. "Stay behind me," he whispered. The scavengers rushed forward, but the human was quick. He kicked debris toward them, creating noise and confusion. He threw one off balance, grabbed the girl's hand, and pulled her into a narrow side alley where the scavengers could not follow. She ran, her small legs trembling, but he kept her steady, moving with precision. Once they were out of danger, they paused in a quiet corner. The girl's chest heaved and her eyes shone with awe. You saved me," she whispered. "I will," he said firmly. "Always." For hours they moved carefully through the city, avoiding main streets and known scavenger areas. The girl began to notice small things: the human's attention to detail, his careful observation of the environment, the way he always stayed alert but calm. She began to understand that humans were clever, not just strong. They could survive by thinking, by planning, and by caring for those around them. By midday, they reached the outskirts of the city, where the ruins gave way to a dusty plain scattered with debris and abandoned vehicles. The human led her to a small, battered shuttle he had discovered hidden in the wreckage of an old spaceport. It was not new, but it was functional. He had tested it the night before, and he had faith it could carry them safely out of the city and across the stars. "This will be our way out," he said. "It's small, but it's fast, and it will keep you safe." The girl climbed aboard, her small hands gripping the edges nervously. Will it fly?" she asked. He smiled. "Yes, but you must stay quiet and calm. I will do the flying. You just need to trust me." As the engines hummed to life, the shuttle lifted off the ground, moving slowly at first, then faster, until the ruined city became a patchwork of shadows below them. The girl pressed herself against the wall, staring out at the distant horizon. The world was larger than she had ever imagined. Mountains, rivers, and cities stretched into the distance, and beyond them the sky shimmered with stars she had never seen. The human glanced at her. "You see, there is more than your city, more than the streets. There is a whole universe out there, and you have a place in it." Her eyes filled with wonder. She had lived her whole life thinking she was nothing, that she belonged nowhere. But now, seeing the stars, feeling the shuttle lift her above the ruins, she felt a tiny sense of hope. Perhaps she could belong somewhere. Perhaps she was not just a street child. Perhaps she could be more. Their journey was not easy. The shuttle rattled over rough terrain, dodged sudden storms of dust, and even encountered small groups of scavengers who had survived outside the city. The human guided them with skill, using his knowledge of mechanics and strategy to avoid danger. He repaired small malfunctions on the shuttle mid-flight, teaching the girl to observe and help when she could. "You have to pay attention," he said. "The universe can be dangerous, but if you learn, if you stay aware, you can survive anywhere." The girl watched him, her eyes wide. She tried to imitate his movements, holding tools, checking systems, and learning to observe patterns. She realized that she was learning, growing, and becoming capable in ways she had never imagined. As they traveled further from the city, the human spoke of alien worlds, of cultures she had never known, of humans who had explored and learned, fought and survived. His stories were full of courage, ingenuity, and compassion. He spoke of people who helped others even when it was dangerous, who saw value in every life. The girl listened intently, absorbing every word. She felt a growing admiration for him, a sense of belonging, and a curiosity she had never experienced. She began to understand that humans were not just strong. They were capable of great good, of bravery, and of love. But danger was never far away. As they approached a mountain range that blocked their path, sensors on the shuttle detected movement below, scavengers organized and armed. The human frowned. "They're following us," he said. "We need to act fast." He prepared the shuttle for a risky maneuver. "Hold on," he said. "It's going to be bumpy." The shuttle dove, weaving through narrow canyons, dodging fire from the scavengers below. The girl held on tightly, her heart pounding, but she trusted him. Every movement he made was precise, calculated, and brave. She realized that humans could face danger and protect others, even when the odds seemed impossible. Finally, they reached a hidden valley, a place the scavengers could not follow. The human landed the shuttle carefully, and they both stepped out into the quiet, sunlit space. The girl looked around in awe. The valley was beautiful, untouched by the decay and violence of the city. Wild plants grew between rocks, and a small stream trickled through the center. For the first time, the girl felt safe. "You see," the human said gently, "there is more to the universe than fear and hunger, and this is where we start." The girl nodded, feeling a strange sense of peace. She still had doubts, still had fear, but she also felt hope. For the first time, she believed that she could be more than she had ever imagined. As they rested, the human began to teach her more: how to survive in the wild, how to move quietly, how to watch and listen. He showed her how to use small tools, repair the shuttle, and understand basic navigation. Every lesson was a step toward independence, toward strength, toward realizing her potential. The girl practiced diligently, her small hands working carefully, her mind focused. She realized that she was learning quickly, that she could adapt, and that she had skills she had never known. She felt a growing sense of confidence, of pride. Perhaps she could be strong, not just surviving but thriving. That night, as they sat beside a small fire in the valley, the human looked at her thoughtfully. "You are special," he said softly. "I know it, not because of what you are, but because of who you can become. You have courage, intelligence, and heart. These are the things that matter most." The girl looked into the fire, her eyes reflecting the flames. She thought of the streets, the hunger, the fear. She thought of the scavengers, the danger, and the nights she had survived alone. And she thought of this human who had saved her, taught her, and believed in her. I want to be like that," she whispered. "Brave, strong, someone who can help others." The human smiled, his eyes shining in the firelight. "You already are, and you will become more, I promise. But first, you need to rest. Tomorrow our journey continues." The girl lay down beside the fire, her small body tired but her mind alive. For the first time in her life, she felt the stirrings of something greater: hope, purpose, and the sense that she was destined for more than the streets, more than the ruins, more than survival. Deep inside, hidden beneath fear and hunger, the princess within her began to awaken. And with the human by her side, she would begin to learn what it truly meant to be special. Outside, the stars began to shine, distant and bright, a reminder that the universe was vast, full of possibility, and waiting for those brave enough to step forward. And the little alien girl, once abandoned and alone, was ready to take her first steps into that greater world. The shuttle hummed softly, its engine steady and strong. The little alien girl sat by the window, staring at the endless darkness of space dotted with stars. She had never imagined the universe could be so vast, so beautiful. Planets glowed in the distance, some blue like her eyes, some red, others swirling with clouds she could only wonder about. The human pilot adjusted the controls, his hands moving quickly but calmly. "We're leaving the system," he said. "The scavengers won't be able to follow us here, but the journey is not over. There are dangers everywhere." The girl shivered slightly, not from cold but from excitement and fear. "Dangers? What kind?" "Space is full of surprises," he said with a small smile. "Pirates, strange creatures, storms in the void, but we can handle them if we're careful. You've already learned a lot, but now you need to pay attention even more." The girl nodded, feeling a mix of pride and worry. She had survived the city. She had learned how to hide, how to fight small dangers, and how to trust someone. But space was different. It was unknown. And the human kept repeating that knowing, observing, and thinking carefully were as important as strength. Hours passed. They moved silently, the shuttle gliding past planets and asteroid fields. The girl watched him work. He adjusted the shields, calculated the speed, and monitored the sensors. Everything seemed complicated, but he explained it to her patiently. She tried to remember, to understand, and to help where she could. Suddenly, a warning beeped. "Sensors detect movement nearby," the human said. "Pirates, human-like but dangerous." The girl's heart pounded. She had never seen people so aggressive, so cruel. "Will they hurt us?" she asked softly. "They might," he said calmly, "but we will not let them. Watch and learn." The pirates approached, small ships moving fast, trying to surround the human's shuttle. He pushed a lever and the shuttle accelerated, weaving through space debris. One pirate ship fired, but he dodged with precision. He adjusted the shields to block the attacks, his mind working faster than she could follow. The girl watched in awe. Humans were clever, not just strong. He used strategy, timing, and quick thinking to survive. He taught her, even in the heat of danger, to notice patterns, where the enemy moved, how to predict their next action, and how to stay calm under pressure. After a tense chase, the pirates gave up, realizing the shuttle was too fast and clever. The human let out a quiet sigh. "That was close, but you saw how we handled it. Stay alert and you will survive anything." The girl nodded, trying to absorb everything. She realized she wanted to be like him, not just strong but smart, brave, and kind. She wanted to protect others just like he protected her. Days passed. The shuttle moved through strange star systems, past glowing nebulae and frozen moons. The human taught her navigation, how to repair systems, and even how to use a small blaster for emergencies. She learned quickly, surprising him with her intelligence and quick thinking. He realized that this little girl who had once eaten garbage to survive had the mind of a leader. One evening, as the shuttle passed a small planet with purple clouds, he spoke softly. "You know, somewhere out there is a place where you belong, not just safe but respected, and you might even have people waiting for you." The girl's eyes widened. "People? Who could wait for me?" "You are not just a child from the streets," he said gently. "You are more. I believe you are a princess, a lost princess. Somewhere your people are searching or hoping for you, but we must be careful if the wrong people find you first." He let the thought hang in the air. She swallowed hard. I don't know if I can be a princess. I've never had anything." "You can," he said firmly. "Look at you. You survived the city. You learned fast, you are brave, and you care for others. Those are the traits of a leader. You will grow into someone great. I know it." The girl felt a warmth in her chest, a mixture of hope and fear. She wanted to believe him, but it was strange to think of herself as someone important. And yet deep down she felt it too, the stirrings of a hidden strength, a royalty that had been buried under years of neglect and hunger. The shuttle passed a dense asteroid field. The human piloted carefully, weaving through narrow gaps. Suddenly one of the asteroids cracked the shield slightly and the girl gasped. "Will we be okay?" "We will," he said calmly. "Watch me. Everything has a pattern. Notice the movement, the gaps, the timing. We can use it to our advantage." She watched carefully, her mind racing. She mimicked his actions, noticing small details she had never seen before, the speed of the rocks, the timing of the openings, the way he adjusted the shuttle's angle. Together, they moved through the asteroid field without a scratch. Later, as they rested, the human smiled at her. "You did well. You learned quickly. That's why I believe in you. You can survive anywhere, even among the stars." She smiled back shyly. Do you really think I can be a princess?" "I know it," he said. "And more than that, I know you can lead, protect, and inspire others. But first, we have to reach your people safely." The journey was not easy. They faced storms of cosmic dust, malfunctioning equipment, and strange creatures floating in space. But the human never gave up, and the girl learned, watched, and grew stronger with each challenge. She began to understand the lessons he taught, not just survival, but courage, compassion, and ingenuity. One night, as they drifted near a glowing planet, the human spoke softly. "You know, some humans are afraid of the unknown, but not all. Some of us thrive on it, and some of us see potential where others see nothing." The girl looked at him, understanding for the first time the depth of his words. He had seen her not just as a weak child, but as someone who could grow, someone who could be great. He had believed in her when no one else had. She felt a surge of determination. I will try. I will be brave. I will learn." The human nodded, a proud smile crossing his face. "Good, that's all I ask. And remember, no matter what happens, I will protect you, always." Somewhere deep inside the shuttle, the girl felt the stirrings of her true self, the hidden princess, the leader she was meant to become. And with the human by her side, guiding her, teaching her, and believing in her, she felt ready to face the stars, to face danger, and to discover who she truly was. Outside, the universe stretched endlessly, full of mystery, beauty, and danger. But inside, the little alien girl, once abandoned and alone, was learning to soar, learning courage, wisdom, and hope. And for the first time, she believed that she was destined for more than survival. She was destined for greatness.